Hi friends, my name's Host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People, and today I asked the provocative question, how do you tell if an ENTP loves you or likes you? First question, of course, one should ask oneself is, are you sure you want them to love you or like you? Because I'm just as likely to have shown up to this video like this. Do you really want to go out with this guy? Probably not. If you still think maybe you do, well, then we're ready to proceed. And we'll look at the agenda here to see what comes next. The challenge. Fi polar and Fe third. So if you're going to talk about trying to figure out whether an ENTP likes you or loves you or whatever, you've got two challenges. One is Fi polar. The ENTP doesn't really know how they feel and doesn't spend a lot of time feeling things to the extent they are compelled to feel things by the presence of another person's, getting into their heart or whatever. It makes them a little frantic, probably. The other issue is the Fe third. ENTPs close the distance fast, so I'm often delighted by the people that I encounter, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I feel close to them. People are more likely to feel closer to me than I am to them, because I'm very open and friendly and stuff like that. That's Fe third. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything, about how I feel about a person, quote unquote. Factors, too. So another thing to consider as to whether or not an ENTP likes you, loves you, or the following considerations. One, ENTP self-concept. ENTPs who are more secure, feel better about themselves, are better at loving other people. And those who are carrying a chip on their shoulder, feel wronged or injustice, or are basically angry, which happens a lot with the ENTPs because there's lots of reasons, but ENTPs, I think few of them mature to full ripeness without breaking. Regardless, so it's going to depend on how capable they are of actually loving somebody, because if you get one in a bad stage of development, they may not be the most healthy relationship partner, as is the case with any type. In terms of the stage of development is different from self-concept, because you can have an older ENTP who's learned all the lessons of SI and FE growth that naturally occur for everybody's fourth and third slot, but who's still quite dissatisfied with himself and unhappy, and that's going to make them a difficult person to be with. So, romantic angles. Now let's actually get to the question and answer it. So, how do you tell if an ENTP likes you in terms of has a crush on you, wants to date you, or whatever? They'll probably bug you a bit. So be around more than they would naturally be and try to get a sense of what you feel. Most likely the ENTP doesn't really know what they feel, and they're hoping somebody else is going to come up to them and say, I like you. And then you'll go, oh, okay, well, you're a girl, so sounds good to me. Like this, though, especially in the early stage of development, it's like, what? I have a preference? But if an ENTP is interested, they'll try to talk to you, and if you make it clear you don't really want to talk to them, then they will conclude you're not interested. And move on, probably. It seems unlikely that ENTPs are going to be the stalkery types at all. If you like an ENTP and want to get their attention and get them to like you back, the best thing you can do is to ask them their thoughts about things. What do you think about What do you think about Without necessarily taking a position yourself. And then respond with things like, oh, I've never heard that before. Especially, if it's true. You shouldn't manipulate people. But if it's an honest response, if the person's telling you things you've never heard before and you think they're interesting and novel and worth noting, then say so. And the ENTP will be gratified to have somebody who's willing and interested in listening to them. Most of our lives we spend trying to keep ourselves quiet, or than we want to be, with varying degrees of success. So, in terms of long-term commitment stuff, what's quite likely is that the ENTP is going to push for some sort of commitment before the ENTP themselves is sure whether or not they want it or that there is the right person. And the reason for this is because with such cloudy confusion regarding our own feelings, and being mapping types with expert intuition as a dominant function, we really want to nail down the status with TI as a tool function. We want that status to be binary and well-defined, permanent in some sense. To the extent that it has impermanence, that's defined within the term and the expectations according. So it's like, I expect my relationship to last forever. To the extent that it doesn't, it should fall apart in the following ways. We must fight for X amount of months before we quit trying, you know? Once you have a long-term commitment from an ENTP, they're probably quite trustworthy about it, because FI polar, along with a talking action function, means we just really aren't that into slaying the puss or whatever. You know, it's like, I have various vices and temptations in life, but having sex with random people is not one of them. So, or, you know, making out at a party or any of those kind of things. So, I think you can probably trust your ENTP once you got them in a long-term commitment, and they'll probably be the one to push for it before you will. Now, lastly is this platonic familial angle. How do you know if an ENTP loves you and your family? Well, I don't know. I love my daughter a great deal. I tell her that all the time. You know, I try to tell my dad I love him. He's kind of brusque about it. I love my mom, even though she's not really my mom anymore. She's got dementia and stuff. But I love Rachel. I don't know how to explain that kind of love, really. How do you know if you've got a good friend in an ENTP? If you've got a good friend in an ENTP, they're probably going to apologize to you a lot for not being as good a friend as you are. Which means they really value you, and they feel guilty because they know that they don't follow through on keeping up on friendships the way that, say, an SI person will. My friend Dave Porter, he's an ISFJ, and he's been my friend for 47 years. I met him when I was 3 years old, and he still makes sure that we go out and hang out and do things and stuff together, because it's important to both of us. But, you know, it's like I'm likely to just get lost in the day-to-day of what I'm doing and forget all about those people. So hopefully that answers the question, and it was a good video and you liked it. And if you did, then please thumbs it up. And if you really liked it a lot, then maybe even subscribe. Bye.